Guardian Angel, an Angelica Dale mystery by P.K. Armstrong. Chapter 18. Roland had dealt with men like Simon Rain before. They liked to pretend they were upstanding members of the community. They held galas for charities, made an outward show of support for federal and local law enforcement, and even adopted an orphan or two along the way. But in the end, when Simon Rain and men like him didn't get their way, or what they wanted, they took it, or hurt other people to get it, just like a common sociopathic criminal. Roland exited the elevator on the top floor and made his way to the reception area. Even the building was pretentious, with lots of glass, plush carpets, and expensive furniture. The receptionist was speaking briskly into her headset, but acknowledged Roland's presence by holding up a finger. She was dressed professionally, sort of, but had on too much makeup and showed too much cleavage. Her bright red synthetic nails clicked on the keyboard a few more times, and she ended her call. She looked at Roland, liked what she saw, and flashed him a small smile while fluttering her eyelashes. She flicked her hair back. "Can I help you?" Roland showed his badge. "I need to speak with Simon Rain." "Mr. Rain is in a meeting. Can I make you an appointment?" She smiled again, but after looking at the look on Roland's face, the smile slowly slipped. "Or," Roland said in a slow, cold tone, "maybe you or Mr. Rain's assistant can poke your head in and ask if he has a few minutes for a detective from the Filmore Police Department?" The receptionist started to punch in some numbers, then thought better of it, took off her headset, and got up from her desk, almost tripping over her stiletto heels down a hallway as she rushed away. After a minute, another woman dressed in a pinstripe power suit and heels came through to the lobby. "Detective, please follow me." She motioned for Roland to follow her through a door and down the corridor to an even nicer reception area. The assistant placed something on her desk as she walked by and lightly tapped on another door, opened it, motioning to Roland to follow. "Mr. Rain? Detective Roland to see you, sir," she said succinctly. Roland walked further into the office and took in his surroundings. Mr. Rain had a corner office, and Roland, who disliked glass buildings, had to admit the view was impressive. The view of downtown Fillmore included new high-rises sprinkled between old historic buildings, cafes, and barber and beauty shops. "Detective Roland." Simon Rain stood and grasped Roland's hand with a strong grip, let go, and motioned for Roland to sit down. "To what do I owe the pleasure? I contribute regularly to the police's Widow and Orphans Fund, but I'm willing to give extra, especially to someone who takes the time to come see me personally." Simon smiled condescendingly. Did this guy ever stop talking? Roland thought to himself. He didn't smile back. Simon Rain sat down behind his massive desk. Roland sat back in the chair and relaxed, and saw a look of irritation cross Simon's face. Simon Rain was used to people being on edge and nervous around him, even intimidated, but Roland was clearly none of these. Roland hadn't planned on skirting around why he was there and stated directly, "I am looking into a series of property crimes and was hoping you had time for a few questions." Roland had seen a micro-expression in Simon Rain's face, but it was quickly hidden behind another fake smile. "I am assuming there is some reason why you think you need to ask me your questions." "Because they are all properties owned by you, properties that were purchased very soon after these acts of vandalism occurred," Roland replied. He was still watching Rain's face carefully and noticed he relaxed just a little. "I'm sure in your line of work, you come across many coincidences," Rain responded with a smirk. Roland's eyes narrowed a bit, and his voice was cold. "I don't believe in coincidences." Simon Rain stopped smiling. "What can I help you with?" "Like I said," Roland continued, "all the properties concerned were not for sale. Then they were vandalized, and then acquired by Rain Holdings, usually 3 to 5 weeks after the incidents were reported." Roland reached in his jacket pocket and handed a spreadsheet of addresses over to him. Rain took the sheet and looked at the list. "I'm wondering, Mr. Rain, if you were interested in these properties before they were vandalized, or after?" Rain's face turned a slight shade of red. "I don't think I like what you are implying, Detective, but I would never let that get in the way of your investigation. Like I said, I am a friend to law enforcement." Rain said investigation as if Roland was to be pitied because he was obviously barking up the wrong tree. Andrea, Rain bellowed after pressing his intercom button. Bring me a copy of the acquired properties list for the past. He paused and looked at Roland's list again. 2 years. While they waited, Roland decided to try another tactic. I wonder, Mr. Rain, what a successful businessman like yourself does when he doesn't get his way. Doesn't happen often, Detective. I tend to close deals, Simon bragged. Except for the Brown Gainsby deal, Roland shot back. That was a big one for you to lose, especially when you and Deputy Mayor Boulder had already invested so much. Rain's jaw tightened, and he went a little pale. After a moment, he looked at Roland, and Roland could tell he was trying to determine just how much he knew. He regained control quickly. Win some, lose some. The assistant tapped on the door moments later and entered the office with a file folder. Rain motioned for her to hand it to Roland. That should be everything you need about the provenance of my property acquisitions. Now, if you will excuse me, I have an appointment. Rain stood up, signifying a dismissal, and Roland accepted it like a gentleman. As he approached the door, he stopped and turned. You know, Mr. Rain, the vandalism at Sinclair Academy was similar to those other cases on my list, but with one difference. A 12-year-old girl was assaulted. For your sake, you better hope I don't connect you or anyone who works for you with the violence brought upon that little girl. Roland turned, walked through the door, and very quietly shut it behind him. Simon Rain stared at the closed door for a while, his face hardening. Simon Rain did not like to be thwarted. He was raised in an era when society considered being born out of wedlock as a failing. So as a child, he was taunted not only for his size, Simon the Ogre, but also for his lack of a father, Simon Twist, or Little Orphan Simon. All that to endure even though he was raised by a hard-working single mother who took on long shifts at a factory to provide everything he needed, and often the extras, the latest baseball sneakers, football gear, and a new music player. Despite the fact he never wanted for anything, Simon Rain resented his humble beginnings and the social status imposed upon him by his peers in the community. He had always known he was going to be someone. At 13, he got a job washing inventory at the local car dealership. When he turned 18, he began selling cars during the day and taking business classes at night. He graduated from the local community college and once again was faced with a prejudice against poor beginnings when he was rejected by Ivy League business schools. He attended a top state school and graduated with his MBA. He spent most of his days running circles around the same Ivy Leaguers that he was not allowed to rub shoulders with. Simon reclined back in his leather chair, put his hands together, steepling his fingers, and surveyed his office. He had spent a lot of money on the design of his office. He wanted everyone who came in to know he was a successful man, with money and power, able to bend anyone to his will. He didn't appreciate the visit from the detective. He would not be treated like some common criminal in his own office. Reaching for his desk phone, he punched in a long-remembered number, which resulted in a disconnect. He dialed another number. Hey, he said, when a gravelly voice answered.